going to be a big day because so much has happened. You know, of course, CNN's major screw up that we got to cover. Or as I say in the title, CNN's wishful thinking. If you're new, my name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk. The show will start shortly. And we'll, of course, be taking your calls. Welcome, everyone. My wife got me this new alligator Alcatraz shirt. Is this pretty cool to see Trump riding the alligator? And then on the back, I'll show it on the other stream later. You can really see it better on the other stream probably than this one, but it's pretty cool, huh? Okay. Itch. Okay. All set up. And of course, if you want to call in, the number is pinned in the live chat. Oh boy, yeah, the number's pinned in the live chat if you want to call in. And we'll be starting in about 10 minutes or so. The show will start. What I'm going to start with today is this nonsense of CNN. When they've got the picture of this monster in New York, they got it in its color, in the day. And you can see the guy as plain as day, and they identify him as a white guy. I mean, it's just, it's totally insane. I've never seen anything so bizarre as this. When they could see it in color, they say he's white. CNN. They're in a lot of trouble over that today, or they will be. I call it wishful thinking because they hate white people. That's CNN for you. Indeed. Oh yeah, we've got so much to cover. Well, if you don't care, you can go, watch somebody else on YouTube. You won't be missed. I can't believe it's Tuesday already. The week is already flying by. Yeah, I mean, all this winning. We'll never get tired of winning, will we? Nope. Never. Never. Yeah, this is the most pro-Donald Trump MAGA place you will find anywhere. Anywhere. I will never disagree with President Trump. I will never criticize President Trump. Not that there's anything I disagree with that he's done or anything worth criticizing that I'm not sharing. I mean, he's just a perfect president. This second term is absolutely amazing, isn't it? It really is. I mean, it's just non-stop winning. Yeah, good morning, MAGA. That's right. Welcome to everyone. Make sure you subscribe. And when the show starts about 8 minutes. We got a lot to cover. I'm going to start with this CNN racially wishing that it was a white guy. But then we'll move on to some other things because there are many. And take your calls. I always check the phone. Sometimes I'll forget to turn the phones on. I've done that so many times. I've gone through... No, I dialed the number wrong. Okay, yep, the phones are on. Sometimes I'll forget to turn them on in the morning. It is a cool show and a lot of fun. The show will be starting in about 8 minutes. This is the coolest, bestest show on YouTube. No doubt. You'll see. I'm just reading over some stories I want to cover. Welcome and good MAGA Tuesday. No, everyone's welcome to call in. No, we don't segregate the callers. I mean, there are a few rules. It's one call per day. You have to stay on topic and no profanity. Those are the rules. And then on Friday, we have open phones. Friday show, you can call in about any and everything on your mind on Friday show. We got about 4 minutes till showtime. About 4 minutes. Welcome, everyone. We'll be live in about 2 minutes. About 2 minutes, we'll be live. This particular Starbucks I go to, they have the best coffee of any Starbucks I've ever been to in the United States. I go out of my way to go to that Starbucks because their coffee is, I think they're the only Starbucks that actually cleans their machines regularly. A lot of times when you go to Starbucks early in the morning, they haven't cleaned their machines properly at some of them, and they have the cleaning, whatever they clean with, in the coffee still. Ugh, I've had that happen more than once. It's the worst. Less than a minute, and we'll be live. If you're on hold, hang in there. We'll get to some calls in just a bit. Welcome to the program, everyone. My name is Brian Craig, and you are listening to Florida's longest-running radio show, the Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio for just a couple more days. Then we'll be celebrating 49 years on the radio. This is the longest-running radio show in the state of Florida. Welcome, one and all, and we have a lot to cover. I'm going to start, we had this tragedy in New York City, and CNN, with their wishful, racially stereotyping broadcast, has really caused a stir. I'm going to get into that. And the real story behind this god-awful massacre in New York City, they're not even covering in the news. The news media are based out of New York City, not Washington, D.C., but New York City. And New York City is where all the networks, all the top news organizations are located, and all of these top national news outlets, television, print, everything, they have their best top people in New York City. So in the city where they have the entire media headquartered of the United States based out of, with their top, highest paid fake news reporters, anchors, investigators, and such, they've got a story very, very wrong, and they're also not covering up they're very busy covering up what the real motivations of the guy was. So we're going to talk about all that, and there's a lot more we're going to cover too in the world of politics and with the president, who had an amazing day yesterday as the King of Scotland. And we'll get into all of that and your calls. The number is toll-free, no matter where you're tuned in from, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. I got this new shirt. My wife got me this new T-shirt. It's another alligator Alcatraz shirt. And this one is my favorite one. If you guys watch on YouTube, you can see it. And if you think the front of it's cool, wait till you see the back of the shirt, which I'll show everyone on YouTube. Watch it on YouTube during the commercial break. But it's an alligator Alcatraz shirt. I love it. And it's a picture of President Trump wearing his suit and tie, wearing a MAGA hat, and he's riding an alligator in the Everglades, in the Florida Everglades. It's a pretty cool thing. He's actually riding the alligator, President Trump. I love it. And my wife, she knows exactly what to get for me, I tell you. And she's got me, I don't know, 4, 5, maybe 6 alligator Alcatraz shirts. And I wear these alligator Alcatraz shirts I have all over the place. And everyone I get very nice compliments about them. Nice shirt, love the shirt. Where'd you get the shirt? How do I get the shirt? Cool shirt, love it, cool. I have not had a single negative comment about any of my alligator Alcatraz shirts. I love it. All right, so let's get to this. So there was a god-awful tragedy, and facts could change and be updated because it's a breaking story, but 4 people, including one who's a police officer and a family man, their lives were taken by this monster. And there was a still photograph taken during the day in full living color that had been released, and because they were looking for the guy. And even though this had been released, CNN reports, well, what they wish they saw. And it's an interesting thing because you're looking at the photograph and you know who the guy is, you know what he's about to a certain extent, but CNN, they see something completely different. Listen. They do not know who he is. They know he is a male, possibly white. He's wearing sunglasses. He appears to have a mustache. And that picture has been distributed to every police officer in New York City. Where do they get possibly white? You look at the photograph, and he's describing it so accurately. The guy's obviously black. They do not know who he is. They know he is a male, possibly white. See, now, there's no excuse now because they actually have the photograph. The photograph's been released. It's been released so that the public can help the great NYPD, the people that were running into the buildings when everybody else was running out, along with the firefighters, on 9/11. And they're telling us, don't believe your lying eyes. The guy's white. Might be. I know he looks black to everybody, but he might be white. You know, what they're doing here on CNN is incredibly dangerous. The NYPD have released that photograph to the media so the media can get it on the air so that the public can help them identify the person. And even though they are looking at the photograph on CNN, they're giving the wrong description. And someone may see this guy, oh, he looks like him, but he's not white, he's black, and not alert authorities. Okay, now it's also been reported that when this was going on, the shooter was yelling "Free Palestine," and his target is target number 5 on a list of the Globalized the Intifada Zone of Operations list. So, you know, here we have what looks like Islamic terrorism, sadly, Islamic terrorism again in New York City, that he was yelling "Free Palestine" and his target was number 5 on the Globalized the Intifada Zone of Operations. They're not even reporting that. They're reporting that he might be white even though they're looking at the photograph. And then it went on later with Brian Stelter and this idiot later on CNN. They continued it. Listen.
All right. So, Brian, stay with us. The former deputy director of the FBI.
Oh, yeah, Andy McCabe, who's on that Obama coup conspiracy list. Possibly white. I mean, again, they have the photo. It's been distributed everywhere. The photo is in full color in the daytime. There's no mistaking his skin color. This is CNN, man. Well, if they're searching for a guy that's white, they're not going to find him because he's black, and you can tell in the picture. So what's this about? Well, first off, this is an active situation with a terrorist walking through New York City. CNN is on the air giving inaccurate information on purpose about the description of the wanted man after the NYPD gave this full-color day-lit photograph of him. They're giving misinformation. Really what CNN is doing in their wokeism over there is they could possibly allow this guy to escape, or you know, he didn't, but they could have allowed him to escape or remain free longer to do more mayhem. This is very well could be the most irresponsible broadcasting I have ever heard during a breaking, tragic event like this when the suspect is still on the loose. The last time this happened was during the Boston bombing. Remember that? When the Boston bombing happened, we all knew what happened. We knew it was terrorism. Everybody knew. You could tell it was terrorism. Shepard Smith was still on Fox, and he was saying it was one of the power converters. And he said, well, in Boston, the power converters are at sidewalk level, not high up the pole, and that could be come on. And, of course, the Zohan brothers, sounds like a trapeze or high wire act at the circus, doesn't it? The Zohan brothers. The Zohan brothers were on the loose. They had not been identified yet after that Boston bombing terrorist act. And they had a photograph that was taken from a street cam. It was in black and white. It was very grainy. You couldn't tell. They did look white. And I remember they had a press conference. The local police, they were so excited. Yet the media couldn't contain their excitement. They were giddy. They were still looking for these guys. But the idea that they looked like they were white had the press and the police in Boston giddy. Remember that? Then we found out they were Chechen Muslims, white Muslims. But this guy, listen, I hate to bring up a race issue. I'm so tired of these Democrats bringing us into these race issues. But when you have a suspect who's killed, and he's not been apprehended yet, and he's on the loose, and the NYPD give a photograph of him out there asking you to go on the air and enlist the community, if they see this guy, call, and you're giving out on purpose because of your idiot wokeism, false information, you are aiding and abetting. You're like an accessory after the fact. One of the most important things to me, and this is true, I think, for most people, but, I have crazy hours. One of the things that's most important to me than anything else is getting a good night's sleep. I go very long each day. I do 2-3 shows a day. I get 4 to 5 hours of sleep. And you hear me, energetic and everything, because those 4 to 5 hours a night of sleep I get are well-rested sleep, and that begins with having the MyPillow. Before I got the MyPillow, I tried every pillow out there. Foam pillows. Oh, the memory gel. I remember that one. Oh, yeah. Oh, the bamboo pillow. That was the worst. I got the bamboo pillow at Brookstone at the mall. It was over $200, and there were a bunch of others. None of them worked. But the classic original MyPillow, it did the trick from that first night I slept on it. In fact, I still have that pillow. I've had it for over 10 years, and it's just as good as the day I got it. The classic MyPillow that started it all is Mike Lindell's bestseller at MyPillow.com. That's right. You'll feel the difference as soon as you put your head on it the first night. It has that patented interlocking fill inside that adjusts to you. You won't flip the pillow over ever again. You won't fold the pillow ever again. And get this, it's 100% machine washable and dryable. Wash it with every time we wash the sheets, we wash our pillows. It's made right here in the United States, and it comes with a 10-year warranty. A pillow that comes with a 10-year warranty. That's right. I wake up feeling rested and ready to go because of that great MyPillow. So if you want to get real good, deep REM sleep each and every night, go to MyPillow.com. Use our promo code Kane at checkout, K-A-N-E. You can get the MyPillow that started it all for less than $20. You heard me, less than $20 with our promo code Kane at checkout at MyPillow.com. Save big and sleep better than you've ever slept before for the rest of your life. Go to MyPillow.com, use our promo code Kane at checkout, K-A-N-E, and order your original classic MyPillow. It's less than $20 with our promo code Kane, K-A-N-E. We'll be right back. All right. If you're on hold, stand by. I'll take some calls when we get back. Yeah, probably white. These people are out of their freaking minds, aren't they? They just are nuts. And don't forget, guys, join us on our MAGA cruise, our 10th anniversary Steve Kane, Brian Craig MAGA cruise right around the corner. 561-244-5779 is the number to Ian at Cruise and Travel Depot. We're leaving on the Celebrity Beyond. We're going to Antigua, Nassau in the Bahamas, the Virgin Islands. And I was telling you guys yesterday, we have very, very low prices. We have 2019 prices on this cruise that sets sail in March 2026. But those cabins are running out. In fact, I got to check with Ian to see how many are left after the show today. So call Ian, 561-244-5779. And you can see on the screen there, we have a great time on our cruise. And you're all invited, okay? Except no liberal stowaways allowed, okay? But the rest of you are invited. And you'll have a great time. We have great shore excursions planned. We have dinner together every single night. And it's just a great time. You'll love it. 561-244-5779. If you get Ian's voicemail, leave your name and number, and he will call you back. Yesterday, I called him when I got off the air. It went to voicemail. I was leaving a message. He called me back before I was done leaving the message. We have a great time. The Celebrity Beyond. You can see. Yep. We party like it's 1999. 561-244-5779. Join us. Okay. If you're on hold, hang in there. Oh, man. These people on CNN are out of their freaking minds. What are they thinking? What are they thinking? Welcome back, everyone. My name is Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show. Call us on hold. Stand by. Our number is toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. 1-888-465-2631. So, CNN, trying to cause racial division. Let's take a call or two. We got a lot to cover on the program today. A lot's happened. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, good morning.
Oh, hey, Richie, hold on a second. Let me answer. The phones are ringing off the hook. All right, Richie, go ahead.
Yeah, you're right with this news, this press. Listen, it's gotten to the point where they're afraid to say it's a black man.
I am.
And they're afraid to say that it's Islamic terrorism.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they did the same thing just in the weekend. You saw the news this weekend. You got Cincinnati. They refused. They refused to say why it was.
This racial hate crime in Cincinnati was a racially targeted hate crime against white people. No doubt about it.
Right.
But but this thing in New York City though, it's obvious. It's a sad thing that happened. 4 people are gone. One of them's a police officer.
Mm-hmm.
There's no doubt it was Islamic terrorism. It's on the, Globalize the Intifada hit list. But, you got this Muslim guy running for mayor, Zohan, who just had an Islamic wedding in Uganda the other day. And on a normal week, the mainstream media would go to cover up that there was Islamic terrorism in the city that was attacked on 9/11. They'd cover that up. But now they got to quadruple down on their cover up because they want Zohan to be the mayor. There's a big push to get this Muslim guy elected mayor. And this is, I mean, could you imagine if this was a MAGA hat wearing guy, that'd be the lead in every story about it nationwide.
Well, you want to hear suppression? You talk about, I didn't see, I have you on iHeartRadio. I'm going to go to YouTube after I hang up here with your shirt that you were going to show everybody. The people in Arkansas came from Montana. You know what they were wearing, don't you? The couple.
What's that?
And they want to know what was the motive. They had Trump 2020 shirts on, and they've suppressed that.
Yes.
It was reported immediately and it was dropped. Why would somebody jump out of the woods and stab two people that just moved into the area?
Yesterday I was out and about somewhere. I was at a store, and I had my Trump 2028 hat on. And there was a guy. He was a big guy too. He was like your size. He was a big guy. He was like 6'5", a big guy, and he was staring at me. And I figured something was coming up. I didn't, and I'm walking out, and he says, "Why are you wearing that hat?" I've never met this guy before. And I said, "Oh, I support Trump." Well, he can't run again. He started getting nasty. I said, "Okay, whatever," and I left. He started following me to my car. And followed me almost all the way to my car, and I had to bark back at him a little bit, and luckily there was somebody else there that I knew that I started talking to, and that ran him off. But this guy was following me to my car yesterday because of this hat.
Brian, it's more than Trump derangement system. You got people calling you on the phone, basically threatening you 24/7. You really need and because you're wearing Trump stuff. And they're triggered. They're so triggered that now it's getting violent. And I believe those two people in Arkansas were taken out. I believe this guy was going up to that third floor because it was owned by Jewish landlords.
Yep.
The whole building, and they're in. And he came all the way from Vegas.
Yeah.
And he had a mission.
Yeah.
It wasn't just why would a guy drive all the way? It was like, I have to get there and do this. And he went right where he wanted to go. And the poor people in the lobby, they just were in his way. I mean,
that's right.
I heard that the one that got off the elevator, he probably was so blinded by his hatred and that he didn't even see her. You could look at somebody and not even realize they're there if you have tunnel vision.
Well, they've got an active shooter situation, and that guy, what kind of rifle did he have? It was a big one. It was a long rifle. Did you? I don't.
It was.
I haven't seen it.
It was the MR-50.
The AR. It was an AR. Okay, it was an AR. Okay, so he's walking around with a fully loaded AR-15. They don't have him yet. CNN, they're giving out the wrong description on purpose due to their liberal wokeism, while there's a guy on the loose that they're helping him get away possibly when they give out false information like that. It's crazy. They should be taken off the air, these people.
But then they give that information. You're talking about him being a Muslim terrorist. They're giving that information. He was on mental. He was mental from police in Vegas. So what is a mental man walking around with a gun?
Well, what does that mean? He got prescribed. What does mental mean? That he was prescribed Prozac like 3/4 of the country? I don't know what that means. And I got news for you. Most everybody in jail for violent crimes has mental issues. Sane people don't commit acts of violence against innocent people. You have to be a little bit nuts to do that.
Well, this is a scary time we're in, and I just, between you and I tell you, I would wear that stuff.
This guy, let me tell you, I wear my, the only time I don't wear my Trump stuff, there's 2 times I don't wear my Trump stuff, okay? I go to Starbucks every day, and sometimes if you guys watch me on YouTube, I do YouTube, sometimes I'll do like an hour and a half YouTube live show before the radio show. And I'll go to Starbucks and you'll see me, I'm wearing a jacket. I'm covering up my Trump shirt because the Starbucks, I've been ratted out at some of the Starbucks, and the coffee, they give me decaf. and I can tell because I get headaches from it. So I'm like undercover. And if I go to a restaurant, other than like, Chipotle where I can see them make the food, if I go to a restaurant, I don't wear my Trump stuff. But this guy yesterday that was following me to the car, it was really scary because he was pissed and he was big and I was unarmed. And he was a white guy, by the way, if you're wondering. What am I going to do? It was crazy. He would that guy if that guy made a move. He didn't follow me to my car for nothing. And I couldn't have taken him. I couldn't have taken the guy. He was too big.
Yeah, well, you take a look at Arkansas. Not for nothing, they got that. They both had Trump 2020 shirts. You don't hear that reported in the news. And why? And there was other people hiking. Why did the guy jump out of the bushes, specifically attacking them? And they were strangers. They had their two daughters, 7 and 9 years old. They got away, thank God. But I believe that it was a hate crime against Trump supporters, and they won't report that either. So, I mean, it's ridiculous, man. It's really ridiculous.
All right, Richie, take care.
Good morning.
All right, we're going to take our break for the bottom of the hour and be right back. Now, guys, you guys familiar with Balance of Nature? You see them all over the place, right? Well, they're a new sponsor here on the program, so that's right. If you use our promo code Brian, B-R-I-A-N, you get some big discounts. Listen to this. If you're looking to boost your energy, boost your immune system, and your overall health without all the prep, go over to balanceofnature.com and order. Make sure you use my promo code Brian, okay, B-R-I-A-N. You'll get real fruits and vegetables in those capsules. It's amazing. I take these things. There's no fillers, no junk, no garbage, just real fruits and vegetables. And with my promo code Brian, B-R-I-A-N, you'll get 35% off your order. Again, that's promo code Brian, B-R-I-A-N, and you'll save 35%. So go to balanceofnature.com, or you can call the number right there on the website, 1-800-246-8751, promo code Brian, 1-800-246-8751. Use my promo code Brian. You'll start feeling better naturally and save 35% off, so your wallet will be feeling better too. Promo code Brian at balanceofnature.com, all right? Appreciate that, guys. Yep, if you're on hold, hang in there. We'll be back in a little more than a minute. All right, we're back. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. Welcome, everyone. Did you guys catch President Trump's press conference with the British Prime Minister yesterday? Oh, man, what a great press conference. It was about an hour long, and I don't like that guy. the Prime Minister of the UK, the British Prime Minister, is an atheist. And I don't like atheists. I really don't. I found out Kennedy on Fox was an atheist a couple years ago. I used to be a big fan of hers because I remember, Kennedy on Fox was kind of like in the second or third wave of VJs on MTV. And it was around 1990 because I remember she was on MTV when NYPD Blue was in its first season. So that was around 1990-ish. And I always follow her on Fox because I remember her from the MTV days. But I found out she was an atheist. I don't trust atheists, especially to run a country. Okay, and I'm obviously Christian, a proud Christian. And I'm not saying someone has to be a Christian, although I wish everybody was. But when someone's an atheist, as opposed to any other religion, they believe everything is here on earth and there's nothing after. Right? There's nothing after. So if that's your belief, what is your life about? If you're an atheist, what's your life about? Your life is about worldly things as opposed to otherworldly things in the afterlife. And if you're an atheist and you're running a major country that's a player in the United Kingdom, England, it's a major country, and you're an atheist and you believe everything is here on earth and there's nothing after, and, that affects your decision making. That means you're only concerned about worldly gains and worldly pleasures, and I cannot trust someone who's an atheist to run a country. So the guy's liberal on top of it, but whatever he does and he talks about, that scares the daylights out of me. And when I tell you I don't like atheists, there's atheism is a big trend in the UK. It is a huge trend, and it's sad. This one really pained me because I was a big fan of this person, Ricky Gervais, from the British version of The Office. He had that show Extras, and Ricky Gervais. Remember those Golden Globes that he hosted? Those were brilliant. Those were the best. Ricky Gervais is the funniest man alive in the world today. He's the funniest man alive. He's the modern day Don Rickles. Joan Rivers was the funniest woman who ever lived. Ricky Gervais is the funniest man alive. But I found out he was an atheist, and I didn't really follow him or anything, so I didn't know. I just knew he was very funny. That show Extras was brilliant. The Office, everybody loves The Office, the original Office. He's great. And he did a movie called The Invention of Lying, and I watched it because I was a fan of Ricky Gervais. And the whole movie is about atheism, and then I found out he was an atheist. I don't watch Ricky Gervais anymore because of that. I think atheism is evil. I get creeped out by atheists. That's me. And this British Prime Minister is an atheist. You cannot trust an atheist to run a major country. Go run some third world country that's meaningless, but you run a major country and you're an atheist? Do you think all things are here? First off, that opens you up to all kinds of corruption and decision making that is very questionable. So I have no use for that guy. But he's a hardcore liberal, and President Trump, sitting in the throne of the King of Scotland in Turnberry yesterday, that was great. Another press conference. It was awesome. By the way, do any of you share my opinions on atheism and atheist? Oh my goodness. Would you rather your child be Hindu, Muslim, or atheist? That's a tough question. Well, of course, we want them to be Christian. My daughter's a Christian. But, I wouldn't want my child to be an atheist. That would be difficult for me. That would be a very difficult thing for me. I would have a hard time with that. I can't think of anything else I would have a hard time with my child. That would be the worst. That'd be the worst, being an atheist. But anyway, back to the King of Scotland, President Trump, and his throne in Turnberry, which was beautiful with his press conference. He What he does in these press conferences are just spectacular. He takes random questions from people. He doesn't know, especially when he's in a place like Scotland, he's taking questions from the European press. He doesn't know who these people are. He doesn't know what they're going to ask. And they asked all kinds of things. And he really reprimanded the prime minister about what a loser he is as a leader. He took that swipe at Khan, the mayor of London, who's a disaster. And the British prime minister, well, he's a friend of mine. Well, he's a bad guy. He's doing a terrible job. I love that President Trump did that. But anyway, there was this one reporter there, and I saw this online. I saw her at the press conference. She's a very tall woman. She was wearing a blue pantsuit, if you saw the press conference. And she was standing there behind the velvet ropes close to Caroline Leavitt. And after the press conference, which was about an hour long, it was a spectacular press conference. It was just brilliant from beginning to end. But anyway, the British reporter, she's with CBN, which I'm assuming, based on what I'm going to share with you, is the conservative news out of the UK. See, you know, President Trump, he's the president of the United States. He's leader of the free world, but he's also, you know, he saved Western civilization with his re-election here from these wokesters that were destroying it. And he gave a lot of pointers to the Europeans on how they can save Europe. But he's also a role model and a leader for the entire English-speaking world. And on this program, we have so many people that listen online from all over the English-speaking world. The United Kingdom, the countries of the United Kingdom. We had a listener last year who came to Florida on vacation from Ireland, and I went and met them at a pub and had a couple pints of Guinness. Maybe a couple pints too many Guinness, but we had some Guinness together. It was a listener all the way here from Ireland. We have a lot of listeners in Australia. Sometimes they call, sometimes, you know, and it's amazing. President Trump is the leader of the English-speaking world too. And in these countries, in England, in Australia, and even in Canada, a lot of people, they want to have their own Trump. And they just don't. And you know, what's going on in the UK is awful. So anyway, this British reporter who was in that press conference yesterday at Turnberry with the King of Scotland, President Trump, and the British Prime Minister, she came out afterwards and shared her thoughts on the press conference. And it was really interesting. Listen to this. She had just left the Trump press conference. Okay, I'm sorry, I got the name wrong. It's G as in girl, GB News. I'm not sure what GBN stands for. I'll find out, but she's with GBN News. Yep. Mm. Yeah. Okay, now I'm assuming, I could be wrong about this. She's with GB News. I saw her in the press conference in the blue pantsuit. It must stand for Great Britain. They dropped Great Britain. It's got to be, GB News has to be Great Britain News. It's got to be. What else could it be? But you see how energized she is, and what she's talking about is she and the others in there were asking questions about the immigration, losing their culture, all these things, free speech. One person asked about True Social being banned in Britain. And the prime minister said it's not. I don't know about that. He said he's going to check into it. He says Trump said it better not be. He's going to have the ambassador look into that. But you hear how excited and energized she is at our great American president, Donald Trump, the King of Scotland, yesterday in Turnberry. And she was able to ask the question that the people of Britain are really concerned about: losing their culture, losing their nation, losing their civilization, like we were doing with these wokesters that were running this country with Invasion USA at the southern border. President Trump is the leader of the English-speaking world. And he's given a lot of great inspiration to, I'm assuming, Great Britain News, GBN News. What else could it be? All right, if you're on hold, hang in there. We're going to take our last break of the first hour. Our number is toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. I want to tell you about Dr. Philip Appleton and his laser away pain treatment. You know, with the laser away pain treatment, not only does it rid you of pain, it does it without any shots, any injections, any medications, which, you know, medications just mask the pain, right? You still got the problem causing the pain. The laser treatment with Dr. Appleton actually repairs the damage causing the pain. So there's no shots, no injections, no drugs, no surgery. Not only is it 100% painless, you don't even feel the treatment when it's happening. So it's painless, and it's also feeling free too. And the best part is it works. He's rid me of pain 7 times from different types of pain, from arthritis to pains from injuries and falls. It works on every type of pain I've ever heard of. Arthritis, which it rid me of my arthritis pain in my hand and my dump button finger. Bursitis, work injuries, sports injuries. You know, there was a listener that wanted to look at my fingers. Isn't this weird? This was the weekend before last at Attorney Barry Siegel's workshop. There was a listener who asked to look at my fingers. They wanted to see where I had arthritis, and they like examined my finger to see if I, you know, if I look like I had arthritis, and it was a little weird, but I let them do it. I know that's you know what happens. But yeah, arthritis, bursitis, work and sports injuries, strains and sprains, I'm not kidding. Repetitive motion injuries, post-surgical swelling. These are all things the laser treatment works on. Neck and back injuries, knee conditions, tinnitus, sciatica, spinal stenosis, fibromyalgia, plantar fasciitis, which is incredibly painful, rotary tears, herniated disc, acute and chronic pain, and that's a very incomplete list. Give Dr. Appleton a call and say bye-bye to your pain. Also, if you've been in a car accident, even if it's in an Uber or a Lyft, or you were a passenger or the driver and you're in pain from a car accident, go see Dr. Appleton, okay? 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. You know, this one here, I was not going to bring this up today, but because of CNN looking at a photograph of a black man killing people in New York City and telling the audience they might be white, I felt the need to revisit this. I did share this on my podcast yesterday. Have you seen this controversy over Sydney Sweeney? Now, I'm going to tell you right out the box, she is a less than mediocre actress. I saw a movie with her recently on Apple TV with Julianne Moore. And in this movie, she plays a Hunter Biden type, you know, a loser kid that's hooked on everything you can imagine, you know, and you get to see Sydney Sweeney, what she really looks like without all the airbrushing and everything. And she's not all that good looking without the airbrushing and stuff, I'll tell you that. By the way, there is a video of Bret Baier that Bret Baier put out on Instagram yesterday. I posted this on my X, and it's Bret Baier without his hair and makeup done. You would not recognize him if you were standing next to him with what Bret Baier really looks like. Have any of you seen this? Go to my X, Brian Craig Show, and look at this. It's a video that he put up. I couldn't believe it. A lot of people say he looks like Greg Brady today. What Greg Brady looks like today, not back on the Brady Bunch. But anyway, Sydney Sweeney, she's a mediocre, I mean, I would say she's a less than mediocre actress. And she's a star because she's got, you know, huge boobs, right? I mean, let's face it. That's it. Yeah. And she's got this jean commercial from American Eagle. And liberals, Gen Z and millennial liberals, are having meltdowns over this because there's a white person who's in a commercial on television and online. And if you watch television or online commercials, there's hardly any white people in them. Unless it's like a home alarm company and the guy breaking in is usually white into a black family's home or something. And that's been a thing that's been going on the last few years. And the same goes for television too. You know, there's a new Star Trek series that's debuting next year, and they released a trailer, and a lot of Star Trek fans online, they've updated, you know, Where's Waldo? They've updated it to Where's the White Guy? And you look through, and there's no white guys in it, you know. And Hollywood and Madison Avenue have decided white people are no longer to be leads in television shows or movies, with rare exceptions. And they're not to do any type of modeling or advertising either on television. But Sydney Sweeney is, and they're having a fit about it. And she's, it's a jean commercial for American Eagle Outfitters. And because she's talking about her jeans, and having good genes, they're assuming because she's white and has blonde hair that she's a Nazi. I'm not kidding. I'm going to play some of this for you. And she's making a joke about her genes with her blue genes and her DNA genes. And the reference she's making, she has good genes that give her big boobs. She's saying that women in her family have big chests. But listen to some of these Gen Z Karens. And then two of them are white, and I have one that's not white that if I have time, I'll get to it. She said Yahtzee, but she meant Nazi. Yes, of course. Mm. Yeah, her family, there's a photograph of her with her family in cowboy clothes. They're saying they're MAGA. Everyone. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Yeah. Okay. Nothing wrong with that. And then here is, yeah, I know that was a white girl, the first one. Here's a girl who is not white. I think she's African American. She might be Hispanic. She might be mixed. I can't tell. And she's like in tears over this Sydney Sweeney ad. Yeah, she's crying. Yeah, and she's crying. And of course, the gene she's talking about her chest, okay, which is why she's famous, and the blue jeans. She's not talking about white supremacy. But this is a very important thing because President Trump has saved us from wokeism. And wokeism, part of it was if Kamala Harris would have won, what they're doing is they have what they were doing the last 4 years, and President Trump has stopped. And you saw what they were doing to the Jews at Columbia. You've seen what some of these other Ivy Leagues have been doing. They have been racially segregating white people out of society. And remember, they had this critical race theory nonsense. And critical race theory said that a baby that is white comes out of the womb a racist, that it's in our DNA, that we're born racist, and that you can't undo it. White people are born racist, but only white people are born racist. No one that's not white is born racist, just white people. And since you're born racist and it's in your DNA, there's nothing you can do about it. That's the way you are. So they were working to segregate white people from society. And they've had a lot of success in the world of entertainment, movies, television, and television ads. And we've seen this. There's been a lot of talk about it. And this meltdown that these Gen Z women, both white and black, are having is that there is a model who is white in an advertising campaign. And I got to tell you, I got to buy some new jeans because all my jeans are so loose on me since I lost all this weight. I might go to American Eagle Outfitters over the weekend and buy some jeans. They have men's clothes there. I've bought things there before. I've never bought jeans. I bought shorts and stuff there, some shirts. But I need some jeans. I think I might go to American Eagle Outfitters and buy some jeans this weekend. Oh my goodness. You know, look at what Trump has saved us from. These lunatic, racist Gen Zers who don't even know what they're saying. They just think white people don't have a place in our society. All right, if you're on hold, hang in there. 1 hour down, 2 to go. We'll take our break for the top of the hour and be right back. All right. We'll be back shortly. What the left are doing right now is crazy. It's just clicked what's going on here. They got, oh, the back of my alligator Alcatraz shirt. It's awesome. Welcome back. Hour number 2 has begun. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. My name is Brian Craig. Welcome back. I want to tell you something here before I go. I got to recap a story that I began with at the top of the last hour because it's important. And I just realized as I'm going through my, my show prep, something just dawned on me. The way that I do my show prep, remember Rush used to have a stack of stuff? I used to do that. Years ago, when I first started, we had newspapers. But what I used to do when the internet was new, I would print up articles. And some days I would print up 200 pages or more of articles of stuff we'd cover on the show. It was crazy. We went through so much paper and ink. And then when social media came into being, what I do now, my stack of stuff is my X feed. So if you follow me on X, the social media platform formerly known as Twitter, Brian Craig Show, you get all my show prep, everything I talk about, and even the stuff I never get to. And that's my stack of stuff. If I read an article and I find it interesting or something I might reference or talk about on the show, I tweet it. And that's how I do my show prep. I get up in the morning to do my show prep, get in the shower, get coffee. I sit on my couch in the living room on my laptop, and I go through my news sources. And when I see an article that I'm either going to talk about or I've read and I might reference or it's relevant to everything, I just tweet it. And that's my stack of stuff. Brian Craig Show on X. I'm not doing this, by the way, as just a promotion for my X, okay? There's a reason why. And then what I do on the show while I'm on the air, whether it's the radio show or my podcast or just a YouTube stream I have my X feed up and I go through my feed to pull up the stories that I want to share. And I just realized something during the top of the hour break because I knew I wanted to recap my lead story because it's very important, the CNN story. And then I did want to mention that Sweeney story that I ended the hour with. And then I pulled up the next story. And I realized all of these stories involve race, in particular, black and white. So, that's really not something, we talk about racial issues when they're in the news. There's no doubt about it. We never shy away from that. That's part of, but why are there so many racial, and I've got 3 today, and there's more than the 3, but there's 3 that I'm going to be talking about. The CNN story, which I'm going to recap. The Sweeney story, which I'm not going to recap, but if somebody calls about it, I'll talk about it. And then there's a third one, which I haven't mentioned yet, which I'll get to shortly. But they all involve race, and it's black and white. So, and I just realized during the break, there's so many stories about black and white race issues. And then it clicked what's going on. This is the Democrats. The Democrats are losing. Donald Trump's poll numbers are like in the 90s. There was a poll over the weekend that came out. Donald Trump is polling so high with African Americans, in particular black men. And the Democrats are trying to start racial problems again because they think if they start these racial problems that it'll bring blacks home to the Democrat plantation. That's what they're trying to do. It's obvious. That's why there's so many racial issues in the news today. So it's important to understand what's going on here. And, media bias, now that doesn't mean that the media went out and caused these stories, but media bias that one form of media bias is what stories the media choose to report and not report. Okay, that's a bias too. And they have a 24-hour news cycle, so they have plenty of time for everything. So there's a lot of things they don't cover. There was a great example about this yesterday. President Trump talked 5 minutes about Epstein in Scotland. A reporter asked about Epstein, and he had an interesting thing about it. And he mentioned how many times Bill Clinton had gone to Epstein Island, 20-something times. Blitzer on CNN covered the story, played the clip, but edited out the thing about Clinton. Didn't want their viewers to hear that part. They played the thing, but they cut that part out about Bill Clinton. And then something on CNN yesterday. That's how they operate. By the way, that is not an open door. We're not talking about Epstein. I'm just referencing an example of media bias. So anyway, if you're on hold, stand by. Let me go through this. Now, this is the story that the lead story today is this god-awful event that happened in New York City. So these two clips I'm going to play for you are both CNN. The NYPD, they had not gotten the guy yet. He was on the run, but the New York City Police Department released a photograph of the suspect, released it to the media so that the media could publicize it and ask the public if they've seen this guy, call us. He's still at large. The photograph was taken during the day and it's in full color. And the guy is obviously African American. He's black. And CNN, they're reporting, they have the photograph, and they're reporting, and this is what they report. Listen.
They do not know who he is. They know he is a male, possibly white. He's wearing sunglasses. He appears to have a mustache. And that picture has been distributed to every police officer in New York City.
Possibly white. The guy is obviously black. There's no possibility. So why are they looking at a photograph on CNN of a black man in sunglasses with a hat carrying a long rifle who's just committed this mass event, is still on the run? Why are they saying he's possibly white? Because they're so liberal and they're so woke, they're afraid to say that he's black, that he's African American or Hispanic, even though they have a color photograph they're showing. And then that was the first time. Then later, again, they have Brian Stelter in studio and this lady anchor. I'd forgotten her name. It doesn't matter. But again, they have the photo in hand. The guy's still at large.
All right, so Brian, stay with us. The former deputy director of the FBI, Andy McCabe, is with us as well. And Andy, I just want to ask you, you talk about a 44-story building, as Brian is reporting. And what John Miller just said, there were a few things that really stood out there. Among them that they do know what he looks like. Sunglasses, mustache, male, possibly white.
They've got the full color photograph in the daylight. He's obviously not white. He's black. You might say he's black, possibly Hispanic, but he's black. And that's 2 times they reported on the air that he's possibly white while they're looking at a color photograph that shows he's black. That's how, liberalism can get people killed. This guy is still on the run. And the reason they released the photograph is so that the media, which would be CNN, can report to the public and show the public, and CNN's on a lot of TVs, certainly when there's a breaking news incident, everybody turns the news on, and they want, but if they see a guy and he's not white, they may not call the police. Now they got him, and, 4 were lost. But, this is the woke media. Now, the other thing they're covering up about this guy, it looks like an Islamic terrorist attack. There's the place where he committed his act is number 5. The location is number 5 on the globalized, the Intifada zone of operations list. So it looks like it's a Islamic terrorist attack. Maybe an American Muslim, a radicalized American Muslim convert, but still. And he was yelling "Free Palestine," it was reported by witnesses during the event. So Free Palestine, the globalized, the Intifada target list, it's number 5 on that. They got a photograph. So they're covering all of this up. And you know what? They're going to continue to cover it up. But yeah, we're going to start to see a lot more racial stories in the news, and I am covering these stories today. The next one I am going to get to after the break. If you're on hold, stand by. But I got to be careful not to fall into their trap and do this every day. You understand what I mean? That's what they want us to do. They think that if they flood the media with racial stories, that it'll cause racial division and bring blacks back home to the Democrat plantation. And we got to be careful not to let that happen. Now, I want to talk about Tom Laporta at Laporta Roofing. Tom Laporta has been with us for a long time. He's a good MAGA guy, and he'll never sell you a roof you do not need. So what does that mean? Well, it means this, that if you just need a simple repair, he'll do it. We had one guy, one of our listeners, he had a big condo building, and he had several roofers come out to get an estimate. They all told him he needed a new roof. Tom Laporta from Laporta Roofing came out and said, no, you just need a repair. I was on our cruise, and someone thought they needed a new roof, and Tom told them they just needed a repair. Now, if you need a roof, he can handle that too, and he'll do it. He works on every type of structure, residential, commercial, municipal, even church roofs, works with every type of roofing material, covers both the east and west coast of Florida and everywhere in between, and he gives you his cell phone number. So you can call or text Tom Laporta at 954-604-4602. And if you got a wet spot on your ceiling, you got a leak in your roof, you want to get that taken care of before we get a tropical storm or a hurricane. You really do. That's bad news when we get those bad winds. So call or text Tom Laporta right now, 954-604-4602. 954-604-4602. And online, LaportaRoofing.com. Call us on hold. You hang in there. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. We'll be right back. So that's the story I was talking about, the other racial story, which I am going to share. We'll be back in about a minute. If you're on hold, stand by. I'll take some calls when we get back. There's so much to cover. I just haven't gotten to the calls. I'm sorry, guys. But there's a lot going on. All right, we're back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. Florida's, got to get my headphones on, Florida's longest running radio show. Let me take a call or two. There's so much going on. I'm sorry, guys, I haven't been going to the phones. I know a lot of you have been on hold, a lot of you have been calling. But there's so many stories of the news I want to cover. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Brian. Mr. Wellington.
Hey, what's up, Wellington?
Yeah, I couldn't believe that whole story from CNN calling that black man a white man.
Well, he could be.
Yesterday on, yeah. I mean, they really put us in like an Orwellian situation, you know, while they're showing a picture of a black man calling him white.
Yeah,
you know?
That's crazy. It's insane that they're doing that. Insane.
Yeah, the scary part is that you have what went on at Walmart, then you have what went on in, what was that, Las Vegas or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Where, oh no, it's Cincinnati.
Yeah, that's the next story I'm getting to. Yeah, that was a a hate crime against whites, I believe.
Yeah, the amount of animosity that people have in the streets right now is just, it's all elevated by the media and how they're trying to push this narrative that, you know, we're going back to Jim Crow and segregation, and they're trying to exploit 40 white people moving to the Ozarks they're trying to claim it's making a white supremacist place. Like the amount of things that they're trying to just throw in this psyop of Epstein and everything else is just, it's pathetic almost.
Yeah.
The amount of lies that they're throwing out there, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I understand that people want to get to the bottom and the truth of everything, but I kind of understood that we were never going to get the true list of Epstein, regardless of who was.
Well, you know, when you get to be on the topic for today with this racial stuff, you know, I remember when the Fort Hood event happened, the Fort Hood shooting, and it took them 5 or 6 hours before they told us who the guy was, and the fact that they took so long to tell us, we knew it was an Islamic attack. You know, this attack in New York City looks like Islamic terrorism. You know, and you got to wonder when, you know, and this is incredibly relevant because Zohan, who's the front runner for mayor right now, just had, you know, he's Muslim. And we've had another Islamic terrorist attack in New York City. So it's very relevant. What's going on here? I mean, they got a Muslim guy that just won the Democrat primary. Why would the Muslims be attacking in New York? I guess because there were Jews in that building.
Right, of course. And not even just that. You're talking about the financial sector. So, you know, they attacked our World Trade Centers. Anywhere that's a financial, I wouldn't even say a landmark, but maybe just a gesture of financial instability is what they're trying to create by causing all this terror, you know?
Well, white people, listen, you know, I was talking about this guy that was following me to my car yesterday, and I got my Trump 2028 hat on. He was a white guy, but liberals right now, regardless of their skin color, they're at a heightened state of anger, and you really got to be careful. And I'm wondering if I should stop wearing my Trump 2028 hat when I'm out and about. After what happened yesterday was scary to me.
Well,
I was worried.
Like a lot of these liberals, you've seen them in Cincinnati, how they almost have like a gang instinct, you know, like it almost just comes out, even though they're not participating in the beatdown, all of a sudden they're part of it, you know?
Well, you know what it is? I'll tell you what it is, and maybe you'll agree or disagree, but what's happened with the critical race theory of the last 4 years, a lot of people that are not white feel justified in their racial hatred of white people, that it's justified.
Right.
They don't view it as wrong.
Yes, I agree. And they almost see it as justified when they do horrible things to people, and they're able to say, hey, it's because of what happened 400 years ago.
Yes.
You know?
That's right.
Or 200 years ago. However you want to see it. I mean, listen, 100 years ago in this country was completely different than today. And I'm not going to be the one to say, oh, yeah, things were so much better back then or greater back then. But I could see that our country in the 90s didn't have these problems. But how did they somehow quell back up. You know what I mean?
Well, people talk about, when people look at the past, they say, oh, there were these things that were obviously wrong. I mean, segregation, slavery, women could. However,
Right.
people who lived through those times stood up against that and said slavery's wrong, it's
Right.
evil. Abraham Lincoln said it's evil. And white
Right.
people stood up and stopped that. Women didn't get the right to vote on their own. They couldn't vote. Men stood up and said, no, that's wrong. So, they hate white
Right,
men, but it's
exactly.
white men that gave women the vote. It's white men that freed the slaves because these groups were not in a
Right.
position of power to do it legislatively at that time. So their anger is
Right.
really misplaced.
Exactly. I agree completely. And, the fact that they say we're all on stolen land and everything else,
Oh,
the way that
please.
they portray this whole narrative is just, it's almost disgusting at this point. That the fact that we all understand history at a better level now because of the lies they tried to tell us when we were younger.
That's
you
right.
know?
That's right. All right. Well, listen, appreciate the call from Wellington. Oh, by the way, Donald J. Trump Boulevard, you can take right to Wellington, right? Southern Boulevard has been renamed from the airport to Mar-a-Lago, Donald John Trump Boulevard. They named it after one of those police officers, I think, for the rest of the way. But you take Donald Trump Jr. Boulevard right out to Weston, all the way to Lion Country Safari. Pretty cool. All right, so listen to this. So this is the story. A brutal beating in downtown Cincinnati that left 2 white individuals injured is now under investigation by police. As WLWT television reported, footage of the attack shows the moment a group of individuals started smacking around a bald white guy at the intersection of West 4th Street and Elm. This is near the Cincinnati Music Festival. Videos captured by citizens show what appears to be a young black man sucker punching the older white gentleman from behind. Others then join in to pound on him and send him straight to the ground while hooting and hollering. This is the news story I'm reading from. The thugs then started kicking, stomping, and hitting the man while he helplessly lies on the ground. Once the attacks finally end, he attempts to stand up, but immediately collapses in the middle of the road. My goodness. A white woman is also seen sneaking up from behind and grabbing at another female who was seen checking on the injuries of the man who was attacked. Another man in the crowd responds by slugging her. By the way, it was all black on white. Okay, that it was all the attackers were black, beating down these white people. The woman's head, oh, this is just awful. The woman's head slams down onto the concrete as she loses consciousness. Blood is seen coming out of her mouth. No one attempts to stop the sickening violence. Instead, many people are recording. There's a video of it, but I don't need to see I did see some of the stills. I can't watch. It is not clear at this point whether the attack was racially motivated. Well, it looks like it to me. Or what specific incident led to the assault. It's also not known whether the 2 victims are related. Cincinnati police chief, her name is Terry with an I, so this is a lady police chief. I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name. Condemned what happened in a statement. There's some stories coming out that the police chief, this lady police chief, is very woke. I got an article about that somewhere. I'm going to pull that up in a little bit. The Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights at the Department of Justice, under Pam Bondi, by the way, Dylan, you know her, and of course under Donald Trump, posted on Sunday that the Civil Rights Division at the Department of Justice will be monitoring the investigation into this vicious attack, and they're going to look into it as a racially motivated hate crime. Vivek Ramaswamy, because this is in Ohio, he's running for governor. He's commented, the woman seen in the video getting brutally assaulted by an angry mob in Cincinnati has broken her silence. This is an update in the Gateway Pundit, and revealed something that reflects the lack of empathy from so many, despite the heinousness of the attack. A group of black individuals smacked around a bald white guy at the intersection of West 4th Street and Elm Street in downtown Cincinnati and beat him so bad he could not get up. Then a white woman got slugged by one of the cowards. Her head slammed down onto the concrete. She lost consciousness. Blood was seen coming out of her mouth 5 have been arrested. The names have not been released or the charges yet. Vivek Ramaswamy announced on X Monday afternoon that he had spoken to the female victim, a single mother whose first name is Holly. She was in Cincinnati for a birthday party. Oh my goodness. Vivek said, I spoke to Holly earlier today. She's a single working mom who went to a friend's birthday party. It's unconscionable that there were no police present in that area of Cincinnati on a Friday night or even an ambulance to take her to the hospital. Hardworking Americans shouldn't have to worry about their safety when they're having a good time in our cities. Holly then revealed an infuriating detail to Ramaswamy. Before he connected with her, not one Ohio State politician, Democrat or Republican, bothered to try to connect with her, she told him. It's pretty bad. I can't look at the photos. And there's one other thing which I'll share after the break. It's the Steve Kane Show. If you're on hold, hang in there. Our number's toll-free, 1-888-465-2631. I'll finish up with this after the break. Don't go anywhere. All right, yeah, I'm going to finish up. That's the story on the lady police chief. We'll be back in less than a minute, guys. If you want to call in, the number is pinned in the live chat. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. Just to follow up and continue and complete this story out of Cincinnati, there's no doubt this was a racially motivated hate crime. They targeted these two people because they were white and they were there. And I wouldn't be so sure there were no police. Vivek Ramaswamy said there should be police there. You know, a lot of times in these liberal cities like this, the police are afraid. And there could have been police nearby, and they didn't enter. I don't know, maybe not. But it wouldn't surprise me if we found out later there were police officers there who were afraid to intervene. They have this white lady police chief, and you know, and this one's personal to me because I'm from Ohio originally. You know, so hey, if you know, this could happen to anybody in any city. She's a white liberal police chief. There's a big article in Newsweek about her from a while back. Let me see when this article was. Let's see here. Back in May, the lady police chief is being sued by 4 high-ranking officers in the Cincinnati Police Department who say she only gives promotions to women and non-whites. And she's very woke. And let me play this a little bit. This is and again, she's being sued in a civil rights case. She's a white female police chief. She only promotes women and non-white people, according to 4 high-ranking officers that are suing her and the department right now. And Newsweek reported this in May of this year. So here's the woke lady police chief after this event talking. See, here she's playing. You hear this? You hear? Oh boy, she's oh yeah, she's awoke. I want to play the rest of this. I had not listened to this yet, so we'll have to stand by in case she uses some salty language. But I had not listened to this yet. You hear her? She's angry at the media. She's angry at people in the public who have brought attention to this hate crime. I don't hear her yelling at the people that did the beatdowns. And you know, these 2 people are beaten so bad, they could have permanent injuries. And even the worst could happen after time from it. She's a beaut. Oh. Oh boy. Oh my goodness. I'm so glad I came across this video. It doesn't depict the entire incident? Well, so what are we're seeing this beatdown out of context? Is there some context where it doesn't look like a beatdown of 2 people by a gang? By a mass crowd? What? Oh my goodness. Oh boy. What other version is there? Is there some 2 people are getting a beat down by a random group of a mob in downtown Cincinnati? Is there some other perspective and context that justifies that? What is she implying here? This woman should be removed by the governor. Whoever has the power to remove the police chief of Cincinnati, this woman needs to be removed immediately. Good question. Oh boy, good question. Oh my God, where is the condemning the people doing the beatdown on an old man and an innocent woman? Where's her criticism of those thugs? She's talking about people. Thankfully, they posted it. You know, these posts are going to help bring people to justice. People will be identified. These videos and photographs will be used in prosecutions of those, maybe federal prosecutions for federal hate crime statutes. What a great question. I love this reporter. I'd like to know who she is. There's no other side on a beatdown like this. There are not two sides to this, lady. I mean, I am really shocked. I got to tell you, I am shocked. She's a Karen, by the way. Now maybe am I so? Is there another side that I'm missing? Oh my goodness. Yeah, she should be taken out of the investigation. This woman has no business being a police chief of anything, okay? And she has no business having a badge and a gun. This is what I was talking about before the I am so glad I came across this video and played it. I almost didn't play it because I don't like to play when I have an audio soundbite. I don't like to play it on the air unless I've listened to it beforehand. Because you never know, it may not be relevant, or it may have some language in it. So I'll at least try to listen during the break. But I'm so glad I found this and played it, and did it raw and live. To experience it live with you guys for the first time. This is the sickness that is wokeism. This is what President Trump rescued this nation from. The videos and the photographs are so brutal, I can't look at them. I saw a little bit of it once. I can't look at it anymore. And it's not because it's a racial attack. It's because you have two innocent human beings that are being, really, this is like attempted murder by a mob. And I don't care what color everybody is, it's so disturbing, it's hard to watch, and I can't watch it. And you get this idiot woke Karen, and by the way, Karen is a racial slur that I'm allowed to use because I'm white. Those of you that are not white must say the K word. You can't say Karen, you got to say the K word. But this is the sickness that is wokeism. I told that caller before the break that this critical race theory, that a lot of people believe that it's okay to do these things to white people, that they deserve it. And he said, yeah, you're right. We're hearing it right here out of the mouth of a Karen who's the chief of police for a major American city, a blue city, Cincinnati. I am in shock. And she is so, she voted for Kamala. You think she voted for President Trump in Ohio's own J.D. Vance? I don't think so. But she has that woke mind virus that she actually believes there's some other side to this beatdown that, put in proper perspective, would alleviate some of the responsibility from the mob. I want to hear your thoughts on this. The number is toll-free. Whatever side you're on this. This is disgusting. I hope the president sees this. I really do. I hope someone shows this to the president. This woman is bad news. Our number is toll free, 1-888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you're listening, 888-465-2631. Are you tossing and turning at night? You might think it's stress, that you worry too much. But have you ever thought about this? It might just be the pillow that you're sleeping on. I used to have a hard time sleeping till I got my very first MyPillow. The original MyPillow, the classic MyPillow that started it all, that was my first MyPillow. I still sleep on that pillow, and it's changed my life. Do you hear how well rested I am each and every morning? Do you ever hear me go, I get 4 or 5 hours sleep at nights because I got that MyPillow. The MyPillow that started it all, the classic MyPillow, is the best-selling product of Mike Lindell's at MyPillow.com. It has the patented adjustable fill inside that supports your head and neck just right. It's machine washable. It comes with a 10-year warranty, and it's made right here in the United States. Go to MyPillow.com and use our promo code KANE at checkout, K-A-N-E. You can get the classic MyPillow that started it all for less than $20. You heard me right. Promo code KANE, K-A-N-E, at checkout at MyPillow.com. Get your classic original MyPillow for less than $20. Order now and wake up refreshed every morning for the rest of your life. We'll be right back. Yeah, I want to hear your thoughts, guys. Call me on the air. This is pretty sick stuff, I got to tell you. I'm disgusted by that. That is really bad. This is really bad. We'll be back shortly. We'll be back in just over a minute. If you're on hold, stand by. If you'd like to call in, the number is pinned in the live chat. I mean, this is, in a word, how would you describe this police chief? I mean, I am in just shock at her rage at people for being able to record what happened. Insanity. Complete insanity. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. That is just horrific. What happened, and then the police chief. Oh, my goodness. All right, let's take some calls. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. Once, twice. All right, you missed your chance. Now, the rest of you on hold, stand by. See, this is... when you're, I'll get to the rest of the calls in a minute. See, this is something got to be very careful of. At the top of the hour, okay, if you're on hold, stand by. I want to put some perspective in what's going on here. At the top of the hour, I had said that the media are starting to promote a lot of racial stories to cause racial division in the country. And while I'm talking about these issues today, you got to be very careful not to fall for that, okay? The media are getting into this race baiting thing, and we're not going to let them do it. However, this is one of the most disturbing things. This is like, I don't know if I've heard a police chief say something so disturbing as this. Not in my lifetime. Have you? Pretty bad. All right, let's try another line here. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Rob from Danville, Illinois.
Oh, hey, Rob.
Hey, I know a little bit about this. My buddy and his wife, they were going to go to the Reds game on Saturday, and she told him, I'm not going.
Really?
I'm not going downtown. Yeah, she goes, I'm not going downtown. There's a music fest that is really African-American music, and a lot of thugs hang out down there on the plaza. It was a night game, obviously. The Reds are great to go. I've been to a game. I'm probably going to go to one more game before the end of the season. But she said, "I'm not doing it. I'm not
Really?
going down there, Jeff. You can take your son."
Isn't that something?
I just wanted to.
You know, and I'll tell you,
wanted to
that's an
throw-
interesting thing, because if someone would have said that, and this hadn't happened, and heard somebody say that, they say, "Oh, they're a racist." But obviously, the word's out. So why is the word out on the street that it's dangerous for white people and in Cincinnati? Where does that come from? How long has it been this way?
Oh, they have 14-year-olds and 15-year-olds shooting each other all the time. Matter of fact, their son had a buddy who his car was getting broken into. He went to check on the alarm, and he got shot. Because that downtown is not cool at night. And she just said, I don't go to night games. I told my buddy, I said, I'll go to any day game you want.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. And you know, I don't know what the concealed carry laws are in Ohio, because I'm in Florida, but you can't take guns to sporting events. So even if, so you're,
no way.
yeah, so it's against the law. So you can't even protect yourself. All right. Well, all right. I appreciate the call. Take care. I mean, that was, oh my goodness. Well, listen, we can't change what's happened, but, when you have people with like this Karen police chief who wasn't angry at the attackers, she's angry at the people that recorded it and said, to them that they're the problem, that there's some other context, that if you saw if the video showed everything, you would see that she's implying that there was no crime committed here, is what she's implying. And the reason things like this are happening is because these liberal white women and the leaders of the liberal movement brainwash people into thinking that it's okay. The Democrats have a long history of brainwashing people, and particularly young people, when it comes to racial issues. Now, they've switched the races. It used to be the Democrats used to brainwash white people to hate blacks. Now they brainwash black people to hate whites. And it's a really scary thing, because the mob that did this beatdown, obviously it's god-awful, and those people I hope are all arrested, and I do hope the federal government comes in and charges them with those liberal hate crimes and sends them up the river for years. I do. However, in another way, I don't want to say I feel sorry for them, because I don't, but their minds are gone, because the ones I saw in the video were young people of different ages, and they have been brainwashed into thinking that white people deserved a beat down, that white people have done all these terrible things and they're deserving of this. You understand what I mean by that? I know that's a hard concept to understand, and don't misunderstand me. And to say that I'm not saying I feel sorry for the mob. I don't. But there's a problem with a mob like that thinking that way. And I'll tell you another thing. She said the cops were in their cars. See, I told you, they didn't get out of their cars. Why didn't they get out of their cars? Because they were afraid of the mob. So this police chief, she's got to go. And I'll tell you, her whole staff got to go, her deputies and everything else, deputy police chiefs, because she's hired them all. And they're probably worse than her, or at least equally as bad, but probably worse than her in some instances. That's why she's being sued by high-ranking officers in her own department for racial discrimination against white male officers. And they said that it's in Newsweek, she'll only promote women and non-white officers. She's got 4 high-ranking officers suing her over just that. So she's bad news. So that means the people under her are bad news. She's hired like-minded people. This is real scary. And, this is, if President Trump had not won re-election, this would have become mainstream. This critical race theory thing that MSNBC had been promoting in the last 4 years was really taking hold, this anti-racism and all this stuff. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. It's Lenny from Coconut Creek.
Hey, Lenny.
I want to try to keep it to bullet points, but it's going to be difficult because of the garbage that is happening right now. I moved down to Florida like 5 years ago when the garbage hit after what happened with George Floyd.
Mm-hmm.
I was an independent licensed buyer. I had a lucrative business for 30 years, serving legal documents for the judicial system. And when what happened in thank God, when the riots started after George Floyd in all of the blue states, I was born and raised in Manhattan. I would probably still be there if the riots that ensued after George Floyd. And I had some of the largest clients, law firms, including my largest client was the city marshal that did the evictions.
Well, we're running short on time, so you gotta cut to the main point.
What you spoke, what's happening right now with this mass shooting, with this woke Karen, because I'm on my way to work, and when I listen to you as to what happened with this guy that followed you to your car, my wife and I, we're both going to be 72. We were Democrats. We were blinded by the BS that has always gone on. And when Trump came down when he was elected in 2016, short, we switched and we became Republicans.
Oh, good for you.
We've been Republicans. And I was given a MAGA hat, which I've been in law enforcement. I used to weigh 300 pounds. I'm down to 210. I'm 6'1". I work out in the gym. The only thing I fear is God. But when you spoke, my wife, because I put bumper stickers, I had a 97 Corolla, a piece of crap, and I put bumper stickers, Trump, 2016, and my wife made me get a razor blade and take them off.
Yeah, you got to do that. I've got, I have a Trump sticker on the back of my old car. On my new car, I don't. I remember I bought, when I stopped doing, when George Bush was running for re-election, I had a Bush sticker on my car, and I had a brand new car, and I went somewhere, I came back, my taillight was busted. Some liberal busted my taillight. Liberals feel justified in violence against others. Listen, I got to run, Lenny. I appreciate the call. Welcome to Florida and to the Republican Party. Now, listen, Sloman's the free doorbell camera offer. You can get this doorbell camera as a gift to mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, your adult children that are out on their own. You can get a free doorbell camera that connects to your cell phone with the installation of your Sloman Shield. Sloman is also going to give you a free customized home security system and professional installation when you use their low-cost central station monitoring. You get an LED touchscreen, a motion detector, 10 contacts, a lifetime warranty, plus a backup battery. And you'll receive a free doorbell camera that connects directly to your cell phone with the installation of your Sloman Shield. Give them a call, toll free, no matter where you're located. 833-283-5050. 833-283-5050. That's 833-283-5050. All right, if you're on hold, hang in there. There's some other things I am going to cover. I'll probably recap the lead story of the day because it's so important from CNN. There's some other stories to cover as well. You're welcome to call. Then, if you're on hold, hang in there. Our number is 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977. I'm Brian Craig. We'll be right back after this. We'll be back in less than a minute, guys. All right, welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian. You're listening to the Steve Kane Show. Third hour has begun. I want to remind everybody, in March, Steve Kane and I are taking our 10th annual Steve Kane, Brian Craig Manga Cruise. We're going to Antigua, Nassau, and the Bahamas, and the Virgin Islands on the beautiful Celebrity Beyond. You are all invited. Call in at Cruise and Travel Depot, 561 561-244-5779. 561-244-5779. I had Ian on the phone yesterday morning, and Ian was able to get a whole bunch of cabins for us. If you're joining our group, you will be paying less than anyone else on the ship. In fact, the price. This is in March, so it's March 2026. Now you got to call and make your reservations now because these cabins are almost all gone. Some people booked yesterday after Ian called, so the cabins are in very short supply. But if you get a part of this batch of cabins we got a long time ago, you're going to be paying 2019 prices. I'm not kidding. 2019 prices for a 2026 cruise. Call Ian. Join us on our 10th annual MAGA cruise. You're going to have a great time. 561-244-5779. 561-244-5779. And look forward to setting sail with all of you. All right, before we do the recapping, there's a couple other things. I read this article in Breitbart today, and it was such a great article. Am I the only one that gets goosebumps every time you see President Trump speaking on television? I've really been enjoying this Scotland trip. You know, a lot of times these foreign visits can be a bit, sometimes they're fun, but sometimes they're not as interesting to watch. President Trump has been holding, that's why I'm calling him the King of Scotland this week, because he's been holding court at his resort in Scotland. And he got the chairwoman of the EU came to him. Yesterday, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom came to him. They're coming to President Trump, our first MAGA king, the great MAGA king, and the King of Scotland, as well as the 45th and 47th President of the United States. He's got a lot of titles, but royals often do. He's holding court in Scotland, and they're all coming. And he's got those cool chairs that are his throne. And I bet you those chairs get a very special place at that Turnberry resort over there in Scotland. And it's really amazing to see. And it just blows my mind that he's president again every time. I get so excited. I get goosebumps. It's like I got to pinch myself. I got goosebumps now. I'm not kidding, by the way. If you were watching on YouTube, you could see. And I do have goosebumps that he's back in office, this second and non-consecutive term. So I read this article, and this is one of the reasons I get goosebumps. Listen to this. This is in Breitbart. Trump is averaging one peace deal or ceasefire a month in his second term. Isn't that something? President Donald Trump has this is Breitbart today. President Donald Trump has broken on average about one peace deal or ceasefire per month thus far in his presidency, following Monday's ceasefire agreement between Thailand and Cambodia. I didn't even know they were fighting each other. Trump, whose second term recently hit the 6-month milestone, touted the impressive results driven by his peace through strength foreign policy. And, it goes through, I'm not going to go through all the ones, but it's done it, one a month. Now, he's ended every war in the world, pretty much, except Russia and Ukraine. So the media want to focus on Russia and Ukraine because that's the one he hasn't been able to end. And he's pretty fed up with Russia. And, this deal that he made with the EU is going to hurt Russia so much. Russia's got a lot of oil and natural resources. And their entire war is being funded by selling those things. And Trump's going to put in a hardcore embargo on them. I forgot the term he used, the tariffs on top of the tariffs we already have. Plus, they're going to be buying all their energy Europe from us now. But that's a pretty good deal. He's ended every war but one. And that's the one with Russia. And I know we want that one ended. They're losing over 5,000 a month, both sides. And that's just military personnel, the president said yesterday. That doesn't include the civilian death toll. And that's just rough. I mean, that's just awful. It's a lot of loss of life, and it's been going on for how long now? And he's trying to end it, and Putin just won't do it. But he's got a pretty good batting average. I know he's dealing with a lunatic there with Putin. But CNN yesterday had this amazing poll. Listen to this. This is Clinton News Network, CNN yesterday. Yeah.
Not high enough for you? How about the Wall Street Journal? GOP plus 8 points when they match congressional Democrats up against congressional Republicans. The bottom line is this. Despite everything that's going on in the world right now, Republicans are more trusted on Democrats when it comes to foreign policy and the world at large.
Yeah, I mean, what isn't that something? And this is a major shift in U.S. polling. In particular, you've got CNN here, who's hardcore liberal. So you got to add maybe 5 points to that in Trump's favor. You know, and when it comes to anything, what do the American people trust Democrats with today? Nothing, really. All right, so let's go back and see a little more here.
Republicans are more trusted on Democrats when it comes to foreign policy and the world at large. How has this changed, or how does it compare to during the campaign? Yeah, again, this
Oh, good question.
he hasn't obviously brokered one between Ukraine and Russia and obviously the situation in Gaza. But take a look here. Trust more in foreign policy. You go back to 2024. Trump had a 6-point advantage over Kamala Harris. Again, look at the average right now. It hasn't moved despite everything that's going on in the world. You see Republicans plus 6 points here. And this goes back to a larger issue that we have discussed over and over again here in the morning. Despite any misgivings that the American public might have about Donald Trump, when you match up Republicans against Democrats, Donald Trump against Democrats, still at this particular point, they are doing significantly better than you might expect. And when it comes to the issue of foreign policy, again, what you see is in the American voters' mind, Democrats simply put can't hack it. More voters trust Republicans on foreign policy, very much like they did back during the 2024 campaign.
You know, the historic significance of this is truly phenomenal because, you know, well, in part because it's CNN, but there has been such a change. Liberalism has evaporated. Wokeism has evaporated. Democrat support has evaporated. They might have more Democrats nationwide. There may be more Democrats in office than there really are Democrats. And I don't mean registered Democrats. I mean people who in their heart and mind support Democrats. The American people have completely rejected Democrats, and for a number of reasons, but I think one of the reasons is they see with Donald Trump something that you don't see with other politicians of either party, and that's results. Politicians, they tell you what you want to hear at election time, but when it comes down to it, do they really do anything? They don't. And President Trump has pretty much accomplished every campaign promise that he's made. He has not ended the war with Russia and Ukraine, but you can't lay that on him. He's been trying. He's pretty fed up with Putin. You can see it. He's putting some more restrictions that are going to go in 2 weeks, but it may even happen sooner. I mean, he is fed up for good reason. And but he's into these other conflicts. He's shut down the border. You know, the mass number of deportations going on in this country is so high. I saw this morning, I saw a news story. I'll just tell you about it. It's a visual, so I can't. It's not an audio that I can play. But a woman who is in the country illegally here in Florida was busted shoplifting. And when the police came, they found on her a bunch of shoplifted stuff from stores all over town. It was here in Florida, okay? And, you know, she's part of this racket where she goes around and steals, and I guess she probably sells everything on eBay or something. I don't know. But she got busted, and they have her in the police car, and they and what she says to the police, they're talking about, they mention her getting deported because she's in the country illegally. And these are local police. She's not in ICE custody. She's in the custody of the local police here in Florida. And, you know, you remember, it wasn't that long ago, just, you know, a few short months ago, local police couldn't get involved with immigration issues. There was no cooperation there. And the local police are telling her she's going to get deported because she got arrested for a crime. She had with her, she wasn't just shoplifting, she had some kind of device to disable the theft, the anti-theft devices that are clipped onto items in stores. She had something with her to do that. So it turned her shoplifting into a felony. And they're telling her she's going to be deported. And she says, you can't, it was all in Spanish with subtitles. That's why I can't play for you, because it's all in Spanish. It's with subtitles. And she tells the police, "You can't deport me. I have kids here and family." Well, that might have worked when the Autopin administration of Joe Biden was in power, and Willie Brown's girlfriend and resident alcoholic wino Kamala Harris was the border czar. But President Trump's back in town, and your kids aren't going to anchor you here when you're out shoplifting and committing felonies. And you got to wonder how many people like her are doing crime like that, shoplifting, getting busted, and finding themselves deported. And it's a lot. And she very well may end up taking her kids with her, because if she's got kids, she's not going to want to leave them here, or maybe her extended family won't want to take care of them. But it was an amazing. I wish it was in English. If it was in English, I'd play it for you. It was really interesting, and because she just assumed, she'd get arrested and get bailed out, But because she has kids here, she's not going to get deported. And when she found out she was getting deported, her whole body language changed. She got really upset. She thought she was going to get away with this, and she's not. I want to talk to you about Joe Thomas. One of these annuities that I found out about from Joe Thomas about a month or so ago just totally blew my mind. Now, with annuities, I talk about this a lot with Joe Thomas. Your money's never at risk. The stock market could tank. Your money's safe. You're not going to lose your nest egg, but you're also guaranteed income for life, and that's a great thing. But there's an annuity with an income doubler, okay? Now, Joe Thomas, he gave me some papers that explain different types of annuities, and there's different options. If you're interested in this one, this is the option 1 annuity that Joe Thomas gave him. So if you call, you can ask him about this and just say, I'm the option 1 annuity, okay? The option 1 annuity has an income doubler for unexpected health events. And, if you're married, chances are the annuity is in both your name and your spouse's name. If only one of you have this health event, you get the income doubler. Isn't that something? And I'll tell you, health issues bankrupt families, don't they? Call Joe Thomas. Ask him about annuities. Ask him about this income doubler option, which is pretty amazing. When someone gets sick, I know this. My wife has an illness, so, there's a lot of added expenses and things when someone in the family is sick. Give him a call. Take advantage of that no-charge consultation that he offers, which you can take advantage of no matter where you're located in the United States. Here's his number, 561-743-0999. 561-743-0999. And if you missed the number, just go to his website. He's got the best website address that's so easy to remember, JupiterJoe.com. JupiterJoe.com. We'll be right back.
And no, his policies and outside of downtown Los Angeles.
And customs enforcement.
Oh my goodness. This is something. I just found this story. Oh my goodness. We'll be back in about a minute, a little more than a minute. If you're on hold, hang in there. This is a wild story. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. We're back. A listener just sent me this story in a DM during the break, and this is amazing. And this is, they sent me this. I just saw it and looked at it so quick, and the person that sent me this, thank you so much. This is amazing. And I saw a story about this, but I didn't see the news story. And I didn't read the story, and it didn't sink in what happened here. And this is what the listener sent me is this local news story out of Maine that I'm going to play for you in a moment. And this is a follow-up to that shoplifting lady I was telling you about before the break. That's why they sent me this story. The shoplifting lady was the one who said, "You can't deport me, I've got kids here." Listen to this. No explanation is needed. Listen. Wow. Wow. Yeah, who was that? Was that the Biden Homeland Security Office or Kristi Noem, Tom Homan's Homeland Security? I don't think so. I don't think it was ours. You know, you got to wonder, how infiltrated are we that we have an illegal alien that has a badge and a gun on patrol in an American city? Or I should say we did. So the listener that sent me that local news story, I appreciate that. Oh, man. You know, we're just in a whole new country today. And that's why these wokesters are in meltdown. You hear the ones that call me. They're unhinged. I had mentioned earlier in the first hour, I was somewhere out yesterday, and a liberal guy started to follow me to my car. He was asking me about my Trump 2028 hat. And I got to tell you, you know, there was an incident, was it Missouri, where some people were attacked wearing MAGA gear. Even when you're in a red state like Florida, we still have liberals in it, and things are going so well for Donald Trump, for the United States, that liberals are very, very triggered right now. And I always wear my MAGA gear all the time. I mean, I'm wearing a new alligator. My wife got me. I'm so excited about this alligator Alcatraz shirt my wife got me that I'm wearing today. This shirt, it's I have, I don't know, like 5 or 6 alligator Alcatraz shirts now. They're all really cool. And this alligator Alcatraz shirt, it has a full color image of President Trump in suit and tie wearing a Make America Great Again hat, riding an alligator through the Florida Everglades. It's pretty cool. But when you see it's so bizarre how liberals operate. There is an epidemic going on right now of crime against people that are viewed as conservative. And so much of what I've talked about on the program today are liberals attacking people they perceive as not being one of them. The Sydney Sweeney story I talked about earlier, they're calling her a Nazi, doing a white girl doing a Jean commercial. This racial incident in Cincinnati, the one in St. Louis. These incidents that I've been covering on the program today are liberals acting out. And this guy yesterday that I had a very frightening moment with, I was out somewhere, and this guy was a big guy. I mean, he was a big guy, and he was looking at me. And that's not unusual, because I had my Trump 2028 hat on, which I do wear a lot. And what had happened, I got off the air yesterday. I had to go somewhere, and I left the studio, got in the car, went, and I had the Trump 2028 hat on. And he was staring at me, and which is not unusual, when you're wearing MAGA gear, because sometimes people will say something, oh, I like your hat, or something like this. But then he said to me, why are you wearing that hat? Why are you wearing that hat? Because usually what people will say, sometimes I'll get fist bumps. Someone say, cool hat, like the hat, awesome, But this guy said, why are you wearing that hat? And I had to look up. He was like tall, very tall. And he started a strange conversation with me about Trump running for a 3rd term, and I left. I go to my car, and he started to follow me in conversation, and there was somebody else there I knew that I was able to distract him from, and I got in my car and left. But he was following me out there. So what I'm telling you is we have an epidemic of triggered liberals that are out in our society today, and you may not want to wear your MAGA gear out and about. It may not be a good idea right now. And I was here in South Florida when this thing happened yesterday. And this is a red state. I mean, the president lives here. And I was nervous about the guy. I can hold my own. But when you're dealing with liberal rage, and this guy was massive. I mean, was a really big guy. When you're dealing with liberal rage, the insanity brings with it strength, even beyond the size of the person, So maybe this is a time when you really got to think about where you're wearing your MAGA gear. And I'll tell you, these attacks are hate crimes. The one in New York, that's terrorism. All right, if you're on hold, stand by. I know I haven't taken a lot of calls today, guys. There's so much going on in the news I want to cover. And sometimes when I go to the calls, I'll get distracted. I'll get to 10% of my show prep. But a lot of these things I'm talking about today, I really wanted to get out there. So if you're on hold, stand by. I'll try to squeeze some calls in after the break. I was talking earlier. I'm thinking I'm going to go buy some jeans this weekend. I've lost so much weight thanks to Coastal Weight Loss Secret. I'm wearing old jeans. I mean, the jeans I'm wearing now have got to be 15 years old, but they're loose. They've been in the closet for a long time. They're loose, even wearing a belt. I've lost so much weight. And the cool thing with Coastal Weight Loss Secret, I've lost the weight in all the places I want to lose it in. My stomach is flat. I've lost it in my neck and face, so I've got my definition and square jaw back. I've lost it in my waist. I've lost the weight in the places I want to lose the weight. That's amazing. My goal was 25 pounds. I lost that in 3 weeks with no exercise. eating foods I would normally eat, no prescription medications. It's amazing. Give them a call. Now, when you call Coastal Weight Loss Secret, make sure you tell them you heard about them on the True Oldies channel, and they can help you no matter where you're located in the United States. Here's the number, 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightlasssecret.com. All right, we'll take our bottom of the hour break. It's the Steve Kane Show. My name is Brian Craig. Back after this. This is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I just saw some. I don't even know. I don't even know if I should share what I just learned. Unbelievable. We'll be back in just over a minute. I'm in shock. Well, maybe I'll share it when I get back, maybe. All right, we're back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show on this Tuesday morning. I'm not sure if I should share what I'm about to share, but I'm going to share it anyway. I just found something out during the break. And, yeah, I really probably shouldn't share this, but I am going to share this with you. You know, I was talking, this is really crazy. Okay, I was talking before the bottom of the hour, and it's disturbing, and it's just insane. Okay, before the bottom of the hour break, I was talking about a couple of things. I was talking about this liberal rage thing. But I mentioned that I've had a lot to cover today on the program, and I haven't taken that many calls. And I just haven't. There's a lot going on, and Steve tells me quite often, and he's right about this, that I take too many calls sometimes, that there's a lot of things I never get to, and I need to, and that's true. And I think I can be guilty of that sometimes, taking too many calls and not getting to all the stories. I get that. And it's hard for me when I see a board of calls and I see people on hold not to take the calls. But, I haven't been taking that many calls today because there's a lot of big stories that I've been covering that are important. And I still have only gotten to about 10 or 15% of my show prep, not even. I just looked during the break at the phones. There's one person since we went on the air at 6 a.m., which is, and this could increase. So it's been, we came on the air about three or 4 minutes after the top of the hour, right? Because we have top of the hour break. Since I opened up the mic, which was about 3-4 minutes after the top of the hour at 6 a.m., they have called more than 250 times. One person has called more than 250 times this morning. One person. Who does something like that? I don't know who they are, but I think we can safely say they're not MAGA, and that they're that's just one person. That's crazy. That is, it's disturbing too. I must tell you, it's a bit disturbing. That is, whoever they are, I can bet you they're a liberal, and they're a triggered liberal who's upset that I'm not taking calls so much today. And they haven't gotten on the air yet. And it's over 250 times. And they probably still are calling, and I could look, but that's in 2.5 hours. Man, that's just weird. Listen, I've always dealt with unhinged people out in the audience. You have that from time to time, but that's a little obsessive. That's stalkerish. That's what I was talking about, that there's an epidemic that we're in the beginnings of now of liberal rage because they're out of power. Liberals are always a little off balance. They always have been nuts. But now that they're out of control, no, it's an individual. I don't know how they're able to do that. I would think that they'd wear down the tip of their finger, but it's over 250 times. I could look over and see the exact number, but I had to come back from the break. But over 250 times in 2.5 hours. We're in a new phase right now with the left. They're really, there's a lot of mental illness that's going on the left. Now, there is another a big story. So, if there's people on the phones that are that outraged, maybe I've been making a good choice not taking that many calls today. I don't know. And I don't know if I should have shared that information with you, because the person that's done it, they're obviously listening and they know. But if somebody called you 250 times, what would you think? Does a sane person do that? And I don't know who they are. I could find out, but that's messed up. So whoever you are, get a hold of yourself. All right. If you're that unglued, maybe I shouldn't be taking your call. Now, there's a story that there's so many important stories today. And this is another one, because it involves Democrats, is going to get little or no reporting. Act Blue. You guys familiar with Act Blue? Act Blue, obviously, a Democrat organization. It's a Democrat activist organization. Act Blue funds a lot of liberal causes, and, you know, they need a mob somewhere. They need a group of people. Act Blue will, you know, make sure that Kamala has a few people there. They weren't in action at Colbert's protest. Colbert, they had a protest of supporters against CBS over at the CBS offices in New York. There were like 12 people there, maybe. But Act Blue has gotten busted in a financial scam in Arizona. Listen to this. A state senator in Arizona, who also is the executive director of the Election Fairness Institute, and he was an assistant and a former Tennessee assistant police chief, found that Act Blue has been involved in some type of real estate scam. Listen to this. Arizona State Senator Mark Fincham, who also serves as the executive director of the Election Fairness Institute, and former Tennessee assistant police chief Sean Taylor, who's the senior research analyst at that organization, have been leading an investigation into what may be the largest money laundering and real estate fraud scheme in U.S. history, according to evidence that they've shared with Unleashed.news and the Gateway Pundit. Suspicious property transactions totaling in the billions are under review, with the trail pointing directly at top Act Blue leadership, its donor network, and a web of accomplices. Now, if you remember Act Blue, Candace Owens, before she lost her mind and became whatever she's become today, she exposed and did a very good documentary series, Candace Owens, exposing that Black Lives Matter was a big real estate scam. Remember that? And Black Lives Matter is pretty much defunct because of that reporting she did. And so Act Blue, if this is true, it's being alleged in the Gateway Pundit, it's a very similar operation. I wonder if it's any of the same people involved. I don't know. At the center of the shocking discovery, this is in the Gateway Pundit today. So if you go to the Gateway Pundit, you can find the whole story. At the center of the shocking discovery is what investigators are calling the magic mortgage money laundering scheme, which appears to be tied directly to Act Blue and its donor channels. The scheme allegedly uses inflated property scales and rapid same-day flips as a pipeline to funnel illicit funds through the U.S. financial and political systems. I've never heard of same-day flips. You would think that would set off a bunch of red flags at the mortgage companies. In a years-long investigation, this investigative team, along with a whistleblower, have uncovered patterns of multiple same-day property transfers. This is in the Gateway Pundit, all these allegations. They've uncovered patterns of multiple same-day property transfers where values were inflated by as much as 100 times the original sale amount within hours. The evidence is staggering. Property sale histories. It goes into all kinds of stuff about it. Well, anyway, it's in the billions of dollars. There's been so many transactions that they've uncovered, and the whole story in detail with all the numbers and everything is at the Gateway Pundit right now. This is the second major real estate scheme that we've heard from with the Democrats. The first one I mentioned was Black Lives Matter. Now this. You got to wonder, when you look through all these things with the Democrats, what about the Democrat Party is legit? Right? We saw with the USAID how USAID was funding so many Democrat things. And a lot of people are wondering if USAID was making up the losses that CBS was taking from Stephen Colbert. And it would not surprise me at all. It would not surprise me at all. Okay? And same may be, the View that's now going on hiatus, they may not return over this. Oh, boy, I tell you, what a day. All right, we are going to take our last break of the day, come back with William Youngerman in the Gold Report. And if you're on hold, stand by. I don't know what I'm going to do with the phones. I mean, would you want to take a call live on the air and possibly be someone that's called you over 250 times in 2.5 hours? I don't know. I'll think about it during the break. Our number is toll-free. Well, apparently some people have it on speed dial, but it's 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. We'll be right back. Hey there, stand by just about 20 seconds. Hold on. All right, welcome back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show. It's time to check in with William Youngerman from the offices of William Youngerman Incorporated with the Morning Gold and Precious Metals Report. William Youngerman, how are the metals looking today?
Metals looking stable again after touching $3,300 support level yesterday and then closing at $3,313.80, which was still down $22.20. The market continues to hold that $3,300 support level for gold. Silver closing out the day $38.09, up a penny. Platinum was up down $15 yesterday, closing at $13.87. And palladium gained $19 at $1,234. Overnight, we saw gold trade in a range of $33.07 on the low to $33.29. And right now, gold's up $3.70 at $3,317.50 the ounce. Silver down 9 cents at $38. Platinum up $8 at $1,395. And palladium up $6 at $1,240. So the market's very stable, still trading in these ranges that we've seen most of the summer.
Yeah, I mean, these numbers are fantastical numbers. I mean, it's just when you say down, I can't really process anything being down when we're over $3,300 for an ounce of gold, right? And over $38 for silver. I mean, it's just these are great numbers. This is awesome. I mean, this is awesome. Listen, William Youngman opens up at 10 a.m. If you can stop into his shop in your local, do it. You know, his shop is a literal museum located at 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca on the first floor of the Bank of America building, immediately east of US 1 Federal Highway on the south side of Palmetto Park Road. You can give him a call toll free, 1-800-327-5010. 1-800-327-5010. And find both his phone number and address on his website, williamyoungerman.com. All right, William Youngerman, we'll talk tomorrow.
Okay, have a great day.
All right, let's go. I'll take a call or two. I don't know if it'll be the 250 guy, but we'll find out by their tone. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, it's Mike from Houston.
Oh, hey, Mike. Have you called me over 250 times today?
No.
Oh, that was not you.
That
was not you. Okay.
No, sir, it was not. I got things to do. As much as I love listening to your show, I got stuff to
Come
do.
on. Better than listening to me, I can't imagine.
Well, believe it or not, I keep you playing. I got to tell you a funny story about this. I keep you playing. If I miss your broadcast, I listen to you during the day.
Yeah.
And I happen to have been listening on my earphones when I went into a dentist's office. Now, I'm up in the D.C. area, and you know what? Right now, I'm visiting D.C. And
Yeah.
You know how these people are up here. And so apparently my headphone disconnected, and your podcast was, coming out of the cell for everyone in the office to hear.
Awesome.
And I thought, oh my God, I'm going to have. Well, I'm thinking I'm going to have an encounter like the guy you had just yesterday. And so I managed to mute the sound, and the guy next to me turns to me and goes, "Did you hear the rest of the podcast? It was a great podcast."
Oh, they continued to listen.
Yeah, and he's a Brian Craig listener also. And
Wow.
I didn't think.
Wait a minute. There were two guys in a dentist office in D.C. didn't know each other and both know me and listen to me?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Am I famous? Am I famous yet?
You're getting around. You're getting there.
I'm getting there.
I want to talk to you about this. I want to talk to you about this nuisance caller. So
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'm answering these phones. I'm not sure if I want to take. Yeah, go ahead about the caller. Yeah.
Okay, so I noticed starting about 6 months ago, the number of daily unhinged callers is going through the roof.
Yeah.
Where you're spending more time dealing with them than talking about the topical events and that kind of thing. And I think this caller is, using technology as a way to interfere. I think what's happening is you're being subjected to an organized harassment campaign to get between you and the rest of the public.
Oh, we have. I'm not going to reveal. That can't be done. I'm not going to reveal our secrets, but we have more phone lines than you would have ever imagined. So there's no way. You mean like try to jam up the line so no one can get in? That's not. That's not possible. That's not possible. I'm not gonna explain why or how, but it's if it was possible to do that, I wouldn't have mentioned that they called 250 times.
Okay, well, that's good to know. But the bigger issue is you're being subjected to something. They are organized. They are coming after you. And I'm thinking it's time to talk to the FCC or something. I don't know. But like I said, I just get the feeling, I know it sounds like I'm being paranoid, it's just too much too soon. Like I said, I've been listening to you for a couple of years, and you might get one unhinged caller a day. You get your daily dose of Renee, or Never Trumpers. But now it seems like every freaking call. So that you've been targeted, and there's some kind of organization out there. Now, I don't mean like in a literal chartered sense, but there's some kind of coordination going on out there, and they're
well, okay. What's happened is the listenership to the program has skyrocketed to levels that are bigger than I ever imagined. I was talking to Steve about this a couple weeks ago. The number of people that are listening to this program is it's at an astronomical number that I don't like to think about because you don't want to get what I mean. It's a lot, and with that comes that. And a couple of 3 cruises ago, I had some stalkers that followed me on the cruise. And now I have security on our cruises, and found out about it that on one of our excursions, they followed us in a taxi. They followed me on one of our excursions on a cruise a while back. So I have security on the cruise, and when I do these appearances, I don't talk about it too much, but there's security there,
Be careful, because like I said, these people are so unhinged. Like when you hear them call in, you can hear it in their voice.
Yeah.
There's just something unhinged, and they don't seem to understand. Look, this is just a conversation. You don't have to go scorched earth, nuclear optional, and so. But they only have 2 modes, which is quiescent and total outrage, and it's just kind of a really frightening picture of the world that we're
well, when here's the thing, okay? As large as our audience is, there's another reason too. As large as our audience is, obviously, there's people that are much bigger. But I'm more accessible. I make myself it's the way I've done it. I make myself accessible to the audience, and that breeds a little bit of it.
Right.
But what are you going to do? It's part of it. It's a little frightening. This guy that was following me yesterday to the car, that was a little frightening. It's a part of life that I've gotten used to. I'm not disturbed by it. I shared it not because I was nervous about the over 250 calls. But it's not that I'm nervous about it. It's just sometimes I like to share with the audience what goes on, and there's
what's the old saying about you're over the target when you're getting the heaviest amount of flack, and you're drawing an incredible amount of flack, and so this is why you're a bigger man and a better man than I am, because I probably would have wussed out at this point. But I listen to you as much as I can, pretty much every. My wife and I listened to you. We had to make a run down to North Carolina. And we listened to it took us 6 hours because we had to keep stopping every couple hours, but we listened to your podcast. And my wife now is a listener.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so what I'm getting at is they're afraid, they're terrified of you getting your message out. They're terrified of you connecting with people.
Yeah.
They're terrified of the MAGA cause. And this is the only way they can fight. They don't have the courage to fight you in the courts or in a one-on-one debate. So they snipe at you and they try and intimidate and scare you. It's terror tactics.
Well, look, anyway, that's it. All right, I appreciate the call. All right, take care. So 2 guys don't know each other in a dentist office in D.C. and they're both listeners of mine. That's pretty cool. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Brian from Deerfield.
Now you're not. I know you're not the one that called over 250 times.
No, maybe I'm number 251. I don't know. No, not me calling.
And by this time we might have hit over 300. I don't know if I went back to check at this point.
Would that be a new record, Brian? A new record for most calls on the show from one person?
No, but it's no,
really?
No.
Oh, yeah.
No, I just usually don't mention it. I just usually don't mention it, and I probably shouldn't have, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. A quick point. People talk about the tariffs, and some people think it's not a success or whatever. In terms of capital, there's financial capital and there's human capital. The number of wars that are stopped, Donald Trump has stopped 6 wars. If we think how many young people were saved from these meaningless wars, largely because Trump can use the tariffs as leverage to put an end to these wars and get these negotiations going before more young people can be killed. I will guarantee you there's at least 12 countries, because 2 going against each other, where the mothers are thanking God and praying every night that Donald Trump is president of the United States and save their children from these meaningless, stupid wars through his financial program with the tariffs. And he should get more credit for this, and he should get a Nobel Prize for it too.
He saved so many lives, but I'm gonna tell you, this is. I was gonna bring this up earlier, but then I just so much is breaking that I've been covering today. I was listening to the president talk about Israel and the Gaza relief. I'm a strong supporter of Israel, but if they don't change their game up a little bit, they're gonna turn the world against them in this. I'm not saying that I'm not turning against Israel, but they're at the beginning of a very bad PR move with the I guess this I'm going to call it what it is, the siege of Gaza.
Well, you can win the war and lose the public relations, and people will turn against you very quickly.
They got to change up what they're doing. And again, I'm a big supporter of Israel, and I understand where they're coming from. We know what happened, in October, but but public perception is reality.
Well, that's also how we lost the Vietnam War here too.
Correct.
That we lost the public relations at home, So it's a great point. But thank God Donald Trump saved a lot of young people in these other countries who would have been dead by now. And he's been a real blessing. So people keep that in mind.
You made a good little point there, because I didn't quite think about it that way. You verbalized it better than me that Israel is at the very beginning of their own Vietnam with Gaza, and I think you are that is so true. And it doesn't mean that they're wrong, but they got to fix this PR thing. There's people. You see the people on, whether it's true or not. You see kids starving, whether it's real or not. It's real to everybody watching it.
Well, prophetically, hard times are just ahead for Israel, unfortunately. So they have to be very careful in how they handle things. And I pray for Israel every night. I really do. And but they're still, even with this great success in Iran, they're still in a very difficult position. And one of the major ones is going to be the problem with Syria. That's coming, because it's so close to their border, and that's going to be coming up too, especially with the city of Damascus.
That's right. All right, appreciate the call. All right.
Be safe, fine. Be safe.
All right, take care. Take care. Take care. Well, thank you. That means a lot. It does. I got to tell you, Mike Lindell and MyPillow has changed my life. And, I found MyPillow out of necessity, I don't know, a little more than 10 years ago, because I just wasn't sleeping well. And I tried everything. I've told you guys, I got all these different pillows. Foam pillow, a gel pillow, which was like a rock. I got a bamboo pillow from Brookstone that cost over $200, and nothing worked until I got the MyPillow, the original classic MyPillow that started it all. And that same pillow I got over a decade ago, I still sleep on it. I have all the different MyPillows, but I still have that one. I don't know which one it is, because it's mixed in with all the others, and we wash them and dry them. When we wash our sheets and such, and it's gotten mixed in, but it's still there. That bamboo pillow, I remember when I threw that pillow out, not long after I got the MyPillow, it pained me. Even though it was garbage, I paid over $200 for it, but I threw it away. And you can get the MyPillow that started it all with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, for less than $20. Go to MyPillow.com and use our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, and get the MyPillow that started it all for less than $20. That's an incredible deal. Save big, sleep better each and every night for the rest of your life. Promo code Kane, Kane. All right, if you're on hold, stand by. We'll be back tomorrow. And I didn't even get, even though I didn't take that many calls today, I didn't get to 20% of my show prep. I really didn't. There's been so many important things that have come. Those of you whose calls I did take, some very good calls and conversations. The last caller talking about Gaza being Israel's Vietnam, that could happen overnight. The U.S. cause in Vietnam was just, but public opinion turned against us, and that's why you lose the public, you lose the war. So Israel has definitely got to change things up a bit, or they're going to. I'm seeing annoyance from Trump towards Israel, which is very unusual. All right, guys, We'll see you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. My name is Brian Craig. This is Florida's longest-running radio show, the Steve Kane Show, on the radio since 1977, celebrating 48 years on the radio for a couple more days, and then on August 1st, we'll begin celebrating 49 years on the radio. See you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. All right, we are out. If you are new, make sure you subscribe, all right? You know, I'll just tell you guys off the air here, and the stuff I didn't get to, I'll cover on my podcast this afternoon. But Steve told me, he says, you're taking too many calls, Brian. So he says, every once in a while, don't take so many calls. So I did that today, but that doesn't mean I'm going to do this every day, but I did it today, and I still didn't get to 20% of my show prep. But my podcast, which I will have a new podcast this afternoon, a few of the things I didn't get to on the program, I am going to cover no matter what breaks today on the podcast this afternoon, because there's a lot of important things I didn't get to. But those of you that aren't familiar, a few weeks back, I reformatted my podcast where I'm doing the podcast live here on YouTube and taking live calls. And then I do upload that podcast to all the podcast platforms still. So if you listen to the Brian Craig Show podcast on a podcast platform, it still goes there, okay? But I'm doing it live here on YouTube and taking live calls. And I'm really enjoying that. And the podcast listenership, which was already very high, has gone through the roof since I've been doing it that way. So if you're subscribed and you click the notification bell, you'll get a notification when I go live on the podcast, okay? So make sure you do that. All right, guys, this is where MAGA comes to talk. I'm Brian Craig. I'll see you later. Thanks for watching.